The long wait for Euro 2020 is finally over. In the build-up to the big kickoff, we are doing something special. We have scoured the Twitterverse to find a representative from each of the 24 nations competing in this summer's European Championships. We will be recording a preview with each representative who will be sharing views on their nation's hopes and expectations throughout the tournament, and most importantly, the fantasy assets we should be looking out for. Welcome to Euro 2020 Happy Hour. Hello and welcome to our Euro 2020 preview series with myself, Sham, otherwise known as FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup on Twitter.
Myself, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda.
Rob, we've got another guest tonight, and they are representing a nation that have won the Euros 3 times, last being in 1996, and that is Germany and Kevin. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. The sun is shining, the Euros are in front of us, so I'm just glad.
Good. Well, firstly, thanks for joining us. I know you were a last-minute step in, so we both really appreciate that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what football team you support, if you play FPL or any other fantasy games?
My name is Ken Bader. I'm from Germany, but I live in Sweden, Stockholm. I work as a journalist and write about German football here in Sweden. And as you can tell, I'm for the German national team, I would say. When it comes to clubs, I always keep my fingers crossed for the German teams, but it's the Mannschaft when it comes to the feelings and the sacrifice.
And you play any fantasy games?
Yes, I do. I play FBL, Premier League Fantasy, and Bundesliga Fantasy.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk about Germany then. How did you guys do in qualification? I know it was some time ago. What was the kind of thoughts in Germany and yourself about how that went?
I would say if you look at the results, it went good. We only lost one game, and the other 7 we won. But the game in such wasn't as good as Germany hoped for. But in the end, if you win, you win. And Germany won the group before the Netherlands and the Northern Ireland. So I would say it was okay.
Okay. And during the qualification period, was there any standout players for you that played really well, or was it a case of everyone kind of just chipped in a little bit here and there?
I would say that Serge Gnabry, Bayern Munich's winger and in the national team a striker sometimes, was really good. He proved himself in front of goal, and a personal favorite of mine, Joshua Kimmich, did very well in the midfield and has the last 2 years really stepped up and become this leader that everyone wants him to be.
Okay. So obviously since then we've had the Nations League and we've had the World Cup qualifying. Now there's 2 games in particular that we want to kind of focus on. Just to get your perspective, I know you're not looking forward to it. The first game is the unfortunate 6-0 loss with Spain in the Nations League.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've heard it from the Spanish rep. I don't know if that pod is out yet, but you will hear that soon. I want to know your opinion and what happened in that game.
I don't know if we got so much time, but I would say firstly of all, the last 2 years, Jogi Löw has mixed around a lot with the national team. Like Lothar Matthäus had said, the former big player in Germany, everybody has become a chance in the national team. And against Spain, you really saw that this kind of leader was missing. Joshua Kimmich, who is a leader, I would say, in this national team, was injured. And the other guy, like Toni Kroos, who should be a leader on the field, wasn't a leader in that game. And I would just say that Spain did everything good. Germany just came wrong into the game, and with no lead on the pitch and with no kind of positivity just fall through. And as everybody knows, 6-0, historical bad result. I think that's the worst result for Germany since 1931, and that was against Austria, 6-0 as well. So yeah, that's a defeat that we'll never forget.
The interesting thing is, the Spain rep, when we spoke to him about it, what he said is, we went into the game, and this is from his words, we went into the game wanting to know if we could compete. and, and the response was like, and my response to him was, well, you kind of came out of it knowing you could compete if you beat like Germany 6-0, right? But you know, in Germany's defense, he did say, you know, they didn't have their strongest team out and stuff. And I guess the other question I wanted to ask, the other game I wanted to reference, and this kind of will move into kind of talking about where Germany is now, is the recent 3-2 loss with North Macedonia. And again, we spoke about this with the North Macedonian rep, and he was obviously delighted and amazed because North Macedonia, you know, they're a much smaller side. I would say that's as big as a feat for North Macedonia as it is for Spain, you know, winning. What happened with Germany again that game? And I guess let's move into where Germany are now, because that game was quite recent.
I would still say that the Germany that was against North Macedonia isn't the same that we will see this tournament.
Okay,
but in that game, Germany did a real good game before, and I would say, first of all, respect to North Macedonia. They stood up good, and they did everything that they should. But the defense in Germany the last 2 years hasn't been good at all. And at the attack, if you play Fantasy Premier League or Champions League Fantasy, you have seen Timo Werner, and he did one of the not so good attacking actions against North Macedonia, if I should be nice. So Germany should have won that game, but they didn't take the chance, and they really, they didn't good work. And I think North Macedonian, they deserved it, because Germany showed once again that they aren't in the right place in the mind. That was their third, I think, World Cup qualification lost ever. Once in the 80s against Portugal, and another one against England in 2000 in Munich, and then now against North Macedonia. So I think the last year, Germany has really been at the bottom, and they really have to put themselves up. And the thing is, why I said that the Germany that we will see now is different, is because of Thomas Müller and Mats Hummels' return to the national team, and that Jogi Löw has said that he will end his time as a trainer after the Euros. He had the contract until 2024, I think. So these how do you say, these pinpoints, these factors will change everything for Germany, I think, in a positive way.
Okay, so I guess let's talk about the Germany side that we might get at the Euros then. Where, you know, who are the main players, or who are going to be the main players, not from a fantasy perspective, but from an in real life football perspective? Who are we going to see as the main players for Germany, and what sort of Germany side are we going to see? Are we going to see an attacking side, a defensive side? Where are Germany as a nation at the moment? Because it really feels like I kind of don't know as a you know, as a supporter of football, but not knowing the Germany side in detail, I kind of don't know what to expect from Germany. Whereas in years past, we always expected Germany to get to the semis or the final of a major tournament.
Yeah, I understand that, because I think the most Germans doesn't know where Germany are at the moment.
But at least I'm not alone.
But I think, as I read, and have seen in the camp now, they are in Austria before the Euros. Jogi Löw have changed his tactics from this kind of Spain tiki-taka to more Bayern Munich Hansi Flick style, more gegenpressing, more attacking football, more direct. And I think we will see that kind of Germany. And in that way, players like Manuel Neuer, Mats Hummels, Joshua Kimmich, Thomas Müller will be a big part of this because they are in this kind of DNA. Mats Hummels plays in Dortmund, I know, but he has been in Bayern Munich and he knows the guys. He's best friend with Thomas Müller as well. So I think these kind of players will really be important for Jogi Löw to play this kind of football.
Okay. And so, who do you think are going to be, during the World Cup? The Euros? Who are going to be the standout players? You said Hummels and Müller are back. They're kind of aging now. Do you see any younger players coming through and having really good tournaments?
I think that he's not so young anymore, but Joshua Kimmich, he will take his next step in the national team and do a really good tournament. He has done it in Bayern Munich the last 2 years on a really high level, I would say. I also think that Serge Gnabry, he's also a bit older, but he will also do a good tournament. He said before now in a press conference that his goal is to score in every game, and he's a really, he really wants to achieve that goals. And if we look at the younger ones, I would say that Jamal Musiala is a really interesting talent. He is in this national team because I think that Marco Reus said no, he wanted to rest. So that's why Musiala became the spot in this Euro. But he deserves it as well. He's 18 years old, but in the last year, he really took big steps to debut in the Bayern Munich team, to choose Germany in front of England national team, and he's done really well. And he can play in many different positions, like in the central midfield, but also at the flanks.
Okay. And do you think then would you be able to predict the lineup that is going to start? Do you think that it's a case of you don't really know because who's going to start where or what the formation will be because Love is kind of doing a different type of style? Is that, would you say, like, if you were to name the predicted 11, how many do you think are like guaranteed from that? Because that's
really
what
hard.
all the fantasy kind of managers want to know. Yeah, who's going to start?
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that, and it's really hard. If we say so, if everyone is if everyone is fit and can play, I think Jogi Löw will play a 4-2-3-1 formation with 4 in the back. I think that Mats Hummels will play together with Antonio Rüdiger. Of them two, I would say Mats Hummels is really given. He will play every game. At left back, it's hard. We got Halsenberg from RB Leipzig. We got Günther from Freiburg, and we got Robin Gosens. I think Robin Gosens has a good position and maybe plays. I've seen in the last trainings that when they play with 4 at the back, Gosens has played at the left back. And in the right back, I think Klosterman will take the place. If not, now it's complicated. If not, Joshua Kimmich goes down to play right back because Löw want to play Goretzka, Kroos, or Goretzka or Gündogan. But I think that Joshua Kimmich will play either right back or in the midfield. He will play. That's for sure. I think that Toni Kroos will play in the central midfield when he's fit. It's important to say that he just came back from Corona. He's been in quarantine and he's doing training lightly at the moment, so he won't play against Denmark. When we record this, they will play against Denmark tonight. and Thomas Müller at the front as number 10, or in Germany you say Raumdeuter. I'm sure he will play every game. And then I would say Leroy Sané, Serge Gnabry. And then the big question is if Kai Havertz or maybe Kevin Volland will take a place at the front.
Okay, interesting.
It's
So we'll be
interesting
keen
with,
to see if this.
Kai Havertz, whether, I mean, he's finished the season quite impressively for Chelsea. Whether he does fit into Jogi Löw's plans to start in the German side, because I mean, this season's been a bit of a struggle for him, but he's obviously just had a huge high of not only starting in that Champions League final, but then getting the goal to win it as well. So it'll be interesting whether that, like the last couple of weeks, has been enough to get him a look into the starting lineup.
I would personally, I want to see him as a false nine. He has done it in Bayer Leverkusen a lot of times before, and now, as you said, in Chelsea also. So if I could choose, I would have Kai Havertz, Leroy Sané, Gnabry, and Thomas Müller at the front, and then behind Goretzka and Joshua Kimmich, because of the dynamics that they have in Bayern Munich. But Löw has a big crush on Toni Kroos, so Toni Kroos will play, I think, every game when he's fit.
I think
But
that
the positive thing
experience
is
he's got as well, though, isn't it? With Toni Kroos, it's that experience. He's played in 3 World Cups for Germany, as
Yes.
well as the last couple of European Championships. So he's got plenty of major tournament experience, whilst some of these players don't. So it might be the fact that he wants that that experience on the pitch to be kind of as a leader as well.
I agree totally, but I think personally that Thomas Müller could take that response and be the leader on the pitch, and that the combination between Müller, Goretzka, and Kimmich that they have in Bayern Munich would be a vital key for Germany to go long in the Euros.
So let's talk about your talisman. As we spoke about him, Thomas Müller is who you've chosen as a talisman for Germany. What does he bring to this Germany side other than his experience? Because to me, he seems, maybe he's too old now. I don't know. You tell me.
I would say he's in his prime. He was, as everybody knows, put out of the national team after the World Cup 2018. He hasn't been in the national team since then, but I think that's maybe the best thing that could have happened to him, because in the last 2 seasons for Bayern Munich, he has won the assist league in the Bundesliga. He's been outstanding if you look at his numbers. I think he made 21 assists in the Bundesliga and I think 15 or 16 goals. And not only brings he the points, but he also pushes his teammates always. Also, he's called Radio Müller because he talks all the time. He helps his teammates where to go. He also, as his position says, Raumdeuter, he gives the teammates the spaces that they need and to go along and make a good result. So he's not only a leader, but he's also a leader on the pitch as off the pitch.
And do you think he starts every game, or I'm not,
Yeah, I would say so, because he had a long discussion with Jogi Löw before the Euros to return and look how's the situation, because in Germany it's been a big talks. The German people wanted to have Thomas Müller the last year back, but Jogi Löw just said no, not at the moment. We want to make a change. But now, because of Jogi Löw said that he will quit after the Euros, he has opened up everything, because he doesn't have to think into the future anymore. He doesn't have to take up the young kids or something. He just has to pick the best team at the moment. And at the moment, Thomas Müller is, I would say, the best German player, together with Joshua Kimmich. And Mats Hummels, same there. He was this season in the Bundesliga the player that won the most duels. How do you say in English?
Jules. Jules.
Yeah,
Jules, yeah.
thank you. So with those factors and with those players, I think Germany will do much better than in the last 2 years.
I think the
Okay, so
interesting thing
before
with
go
Muller,
on, Rob. Sorry.
the interesting thing with Muller is, we feel like he's really old and might be past it. He's only 31, but
Oh,
he's
really?
just
I didn't even know that. He
but
seems like he's like, I thought he was like 34 or 35.
but he's been around for so long because he's obviously he's the
Yes.
record goal scorer at the World Cup, isn't he? He's the
And
player
no,
score.
Miroslav Klose is.
Oh, it's Miroslav Klose. Yeah, he was closing in on it at the last
Yeah,
World
he was
Cup.
closing in. But the
So
thing is, he hasn't scored any goal in the Euros yet. So now it's time for him to step up in the Euros and shoot a goal to Germany, I think.
yeah, I mean, it's just I think it's amazing that we're sitting here thinking he's a really old player, and just shows how good and how important he has been to Germany in the last 10 to 12 years, really.
That's true.
Before we move on to fantasy and start talking about fantasy options, let's have a look at your group, because I want to know what your thoughts are on this group. It seems like a very, people are saying this is a group of death. I want to know what's the feeling in the, I guess, Germany camp, but also Germany fans with regards to what they can do in the Euros, and what's your thoughts on this group and how far you can progress?
Firstly, I would say this is the group of the masters because you see in France 2018 the winners, you see Portugal the Euro 2016 winners, and you see Germany the winners of 2014. So I would put it in that direction instead. And then Hungary, would do
They're
all
hungry.
respect, they are hungry. Personally, I think this is the best thing that could have happened Germany. They need a wake-up call. They have to play against good teams to perform and to be hungry. And at the same time, they will play all the games at home in Munich, in the Allianz Arena, where, most of the players are playing every week, like Joshua Kimmich, Thomas Müller, Manuel Neuer. Yeah, you understand. So I think to play against France in the opening is really a good kick for them in the way. If they had played against Hungary or other smaller team, all due respect, I don't think they would be as, how do you say, they wouldn't have got that kick that they will get. But at the same time, as you said, it's Portugal and France. I think most of the people think that France will win it because of the great squad. But I would say that it will be tight. I'm a bit subjective, as you can understand. So I think that Germany can win the group, but I don't think that none of those teams will go clean through the group. I have put 1-1 against France, and I think that Germany will win against Portugal with 2-1, and then win against Hungary, and then go to next stage. So I think it will be close, but it will go for Germany.
And as within the camp, because I know that you do a lot of kind of talking about Germany as a side, is there confidence?
I would say so. From in the camp right now, there's a lot of team building at the moment. If you look at the World Cup, that was a big fiasco in 2018. There were a lot of talks outside the pitch with Mesut Özil and Ilkay Gündogan, with everything going there. We don't have to go too deep into that, but the focus wasn't there, you can say, and the feeling in the team wasn't so good. But at the moment, as I can see and I heard and read, the feeling is better. The team is motivated, and they want to show the world that they are the best team in Europe. because they have the history and they want their revenge from 2018.
And how far do you think this Germany side can go? Do you think you can win it?
I think so.
Really?
I understand that people will maybe think I'm crazy and just a German fan here, but if you look at the paper, if you look at the conditions, as I said before, they will play their games, the group stage in Germany, in Munich, before fans. They have players like Thomas Müller back and Mats Hummels in top form. And Jogi Löw plays his last tournament. Most of the players, or every player, has only had Jogi Löw as a trainer in the national team. So they want to give him a last big gift in that way. And they want to get the fourth gold. And as you said before, when we were beginning recording, Germany won 1996 at Wembley. And the final these times will be also in Wembley. So why not Thomas Müller with 2 goals instead of Oliver Bierhoff?
Yeah, no, you're not beating us on a penalty shootout this time.
Rob, have you got any questions before we talk about fantasy?
No, I just think it is. I mean, this group, we could sit here for hours and hours discussing who may or may not win out of the group. But yeah, I think it is a really interesting point that Germany are playing at home. The ground's going to have fans in it. Like we've spoken to people like the Scotland rep who said that Hampden Park for their games against Croatia and Switzerland, it's going to be bouncing. It's going to be the same in Germany. At the Allianz Arena, the place is going to be bouncing for that France-Germany game. Like they're going to be stirring up an atmosphere, trying to make it as uncomfortable as possible for the French players. And where we saw it in the Premier League towards the end, that suddenly having fans in a stadium, it boosts the home side and it makes the away side a lot more uncomfortable. And we could see that, especially with more. We expect there to be more fans than what we've seen in some of the leagues towards the end of the season. So yeah, and they are, like, the German side are on. If you do look at some of the names, and maybe the defence are probably a little more inexperienced on a major tournament level. But then if you move forwards, like, you've got players that play in the latter stages of the Champions League year in, year out, and they've got that big game experience, as well as the sort of few players that have been in the squad for major tournaments and major finals.
Okay, let's talk about fantasy then, Kevin, because that's what everyone wants to hear. Now, if we look at the options available to us, would you say there's any players here? So we'll ask off some basic questions first before we go into some detail of potential picks that you really like. Would you say there's anyone that you believe is going to be out of position? So any players that are listed as defenders that will probably play midfield, or any players that are listed as midfielders but actually will play as defenders?
I would say that Emre Can is such a player. He is listed as a defender, and that's because of that he played in the last games for Germany as a defender. But I recognize that when Jogi Löw took out the German team, that Emre Can was listed as a midfielder. So I think if Emre Can plays, he will play in the midfield. But it's important to say, I don't think that Emre Can will be a start player in the starting lineup because of the other players. It's too tough. And in the back, you have Mats Hummels, as we said, Rüdiger, Ginter, Niklas Süle, and in the midfield, it's too hard with Toni Kroos, Goretzka, Joshua Kimmich, and Gündogan. So Can is such a player, but he won't play so many minutes.
Okay. Anyone else there?
Not what I would say, no.
Okay. The only player that I just thought that could be a potential is Kimmich. You said that there's a possibility that he might play at right back. Is it more likely that he'll play in midfield than in defence?
I would say against teams like Portugal or France that he maybe plays as right back, but against smaller nations or you understand, he will
Yeah.
play as a midfielder, I would say. So it could be a switch, and as I said before, it's really hard to say which formation. Jogi Löw has played in this training session the last week with a 4-2-3-1 and the 3-4-3 formation. So it could be that Kimmich plays when they play with a four back, he will play a right back then, but
Okay.
not every game.
So, as someone that's an expert in Germany, you look at this squad. Are there any players that you look at that you think offer really good value for their money? Either they're way too low, they should be a lot higher, or that you think they're placed way too high and actually they're not worth the money?
If we go too much, I would say Timo Werner. I'm sorry, Timo. All the respect for him, but first of all, his national time hasn't been so good because of the style of playing. It doesn't fit in the way. I don't think he will play from start either. He will play as a joker and jump in and do something, do some minutes, but I don't think he will start so many games. So I think that put so much money into Timo Werner isn't as good. I would rather put those money into Thomas Müller instead, because he will play every game and he will possibly be involved in the mostly of the German goals. So rather step it up to Thomas Müller than put the money into Timo Werner, I would say. And if you look at other players, I said his name many times now, but Joshua Kimmich. So his 6 only. I think that's really good, because even if he plays at the right back, he will always be in the front. He always gives assists or goals. He has a good foot with his right. He can shoot from distance. So Kimmich is really good play. He also takes corners sometimes and free kicks. So if we want a budget midfielder, I would say Joshua Kimmich.
Does he play in that defensive midfield role, or is it more of an attacking role? He plays in midfield,
he plays in more the defense role, but he goes up, so he's always outside the box and can take shots, or he makes some good passes to the attacker. So he's always in the central. He's like, I would say the how do you say
it's like on the pivot. Is
the
it
motto,
double pivot midfielder? Like very box to box, but doesn't sort of go into the box, kind of just waits for that ball, the rebound ball out or the clearance to come out to him.
Exactly. Sometimes in Bayern Munich he also goes into the box, but I think players like Leon Goretzka will do it more, or Ilkay Gundogan. So he is more the stabilizer that will just control everything and have the good perspective of the game.
Okay. So let's look at assets to get then. When you look at this, is there anyone here that you go, you want in your side?
It's Joshua Kimmich, and I'm also a bit interested in Klosterman.
I was just about to ask you about him, because you did when we spoke about your predicted lineup, you mentioned that he could start at right back, I think you said, if Kimmich doesn't start there, and he's only listed at 4.5.
Exactly.
You think he will start in that position? Has he been starting there?
He's been starting there, but as I said before, it's really hard to say if Kimmich starts or Klosterman, but I think he has the best potential to play at the right back if Kimmich isn't playing there, and to have him for just only 4.5 is a good option. As everybody know, in Euro Fantasy you can make changes in the game, so in the in the round. So if you see that Germany plays and have Klosterman from start, and you see, okay, he didn't play, just take him off and put somebody else in. He only costs 4.5, so I think that could be a good option for you.
Okay.
I
What
think
about the
with
likes of Nabry or Sané or any of those others that you think offer good value? I know you mentioned Muller, but my only thing that kind of springs to mind with Muller is you said that he plays in this 10 position, right? Which is almost, it's not that number one up front. It's almost like not a Salah role, because obviously Salah's on the wing, but it's almost like a midfielder's role rather than a striker's role. And do you think you're still going to be getting that value when he's playing up front?
I would say so. As I said before, with Bayern Munich and his time there and his numbers, 21 assists and I think 14, 15 goals in this season, he will always be involved in the goals that Germany are creating this tournament. I'm really sure of it. So I think that would be a good joker in a way, because I think many people will have Harry Kane, Lukaku, and Cristiano Ronaldo in a way. So if you just put in Thomas Müller there and he makes a good game, so then you will be a differential in a good sentence.
Okay. Rob, you got any questions?
I think, I mean, it's hard. It's tough to target the German side in the first two rounds of games, but they're really interesting going into the third round of games, when I think we'd expect them to possibly need to get a result against Hungary, especially if they've drawn against, say, if they've sitting there tied with France and Portugal, and they need to score some goals to boost them up a bit. I think that like Klosterman could be a great option, and Thomas Muller as well would be perfect for that round 3, because a lot of the other bigger sides they might have already qualified, they might be rotating, whilst Germany might be one of these teams that don't.
Exactly. I would say so also. Serge Gnabry is a really good player, and he always does a good job in the national team. In Bayern Munich, it's been up and downs, but in the national team, it's mostly, even if he doesn't play so good, he scores. So if you have the money and you want to put it into the midfield, I would say Gnabry, if you don't pick Kimmich.
Okay, so that Hungary game, the way that people are kind of planning their squads and things, a lot of people are either going to, well, the people that are talking on Twitter, they're either going to be using their limitless chip or their wild card in match day 3. And a lot of people are really thinking about targeting Germany for that game and getting 3 Germany players. Which 3 would you choose? Budget being no option, just in terms of who you think will get the most points against Hungary, and obviously who you think will start. Which 3 would you be choosing?
I would choose Thomas Müller, Gnabry, and Kimmich or Manu Neuer. If you really want just a goalkeeper that keep a clean sheet.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone in defence other than Klosterman that we should be looking at? Because historically, I think Germany have been, I guess, given the title of good defence. People always consider Germany with a good defence. Do you think that is the case this year or not?
They want to now with Mats Hummels back, but I wouldn't say that they are there yet. So with Rüdiger, Mats Hummels, or Rüdiger, Mats Hummels and Süle, I think they will build that kind of center back. I think Ginter could be a little bit of joker. He's a good defender. He can play in the central, but also sometimes at the right back if you want. If you look at Gosens 5.0, he's an offensive player. He plays normally in Atalanta, where he plays as a wingback. He scores goals and also makes some assists. So that could be an option too. But I wouldn't say that they are so sure of starting as players like Thomas Müller, Serge Gnabry, and Joshua Kimmich.
Okay. Who takes your set pieces, or who do you think will be taking your set pieces, your corners, free kicks, and penalties?
I think if Toni Kroos plays, it's between Toni Kroos and Joshua Kimmich.
For all three?
For the corners, I would say, and for the free kicks, I know Thomas Müller likes to take them, but I would say that Kroos is also in front of there. So those two.
Okay. Penalties?
I would say Müller.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he will take them.
Rob, any questions?
It's just that I was just sort of chuckling to myself because, like, you look at the team and then you think who will take the free kicks. There's so many players there that can take free kicks and that do for their clubs. Like even like Sane, Gundogan, Gnabry, they all can take free kicks, as well as Havertz as well. But yeah, I think the one that always sticks in my mind, especially with Germany, is Toni Kroos. There was that free kick at the last World Cup. Was it against Sweden?
Mexico.
Sweden.
Was it Sweden?
Yeah.
Was it
Sweden. It was a great free kick, and it
wasn't there one against Mexico as well? When you lost, or was it?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, he scored some great free kicks. But I think if it's I think it just strengthens Muller though. If like he's on penalties, he's got that. I mean, he has got the 9 million price tag, but that kind of free. If you're looking to move away from your Lukaku's, your Kane's, your Ronaldo's, it gives you 2 or 3 million extra to spend elsewhere. So instead of going for a budget defense, you can boost up to something a bit more from one of the bigger nations. Kimmich does interest me at 6 million. Even as a DM, because his passing has shown it for Bayern. Like he can pick out a pass, and if Muller's playing in that number 10, like he's one of the best number 10s around. Like over the years, seeing him, he's so good at not only seeing where other people are moving, but finding the space himself. Like if you watch videos of him over the years, and it's just that late run into the box just behind, like where the defenders are moving back towards the goal, he'll be just still there at the penalty spot, and he's always in that perfect spot. And he never scores great goals, but he scores lots of good goals.
That's true.
So sometimes he gets away from you where like other big players like Ronaldo score great goals. I mean, he scores lots of good goals as well, but Muller just seems to be on the spot at the right time. And I think if they're playing with, like we said about Havertz possibly playing in more of a false 9, I think that him and Muller would probably, there'll be like a bit of a rotation where Muller sometimes will lead the line a bit more, whilst Havertz drops deeper depending on how that particular game's panning out. So 9 million is really interesting, but like for those first 2 rounds, it might not be the one, but for that third match day or round 3, it could be the perfect player to have in. Yeah.
I've just got one last question, Kevin, with regards to fantasy. If I was a fantasy player that wanted a wild card in terms of one player that is no one's gonna own, or hardly any people are gonna own, but you think has the potential to be explosive and go wild, may or may not start, who would you choose as a differential?
I would say it's between 2 players. I don't think people will take. It's Leon Goretzka, because of the other midfield options. But if he's fit, he's a real danger. He's really a box-to-box player and scores goals and provides assists. So I would say him or Kevin Volland. He's done a great season as Monaco, 16 league goals, and can play as a striker or at the wings. So I think he will play a bit, but I don't think he will start. But I would say him too, because he's a good differential. It costs a little bit, but if you want to have a differential, it could be him.
I'm surprised you didn't say Sane, because Sane's one of those players that if he's performing, he can do well. What kind of season did he have with Bayern? Was it kind of up and down like it was season before last? Is he coming into good form into the Euros?
I wouldn't say so much that he's in such a good form. As you said, up and downs with him. I would say that he is kind of like Kingsley Coman in a way. I would say that Sane is a bit better, like 2.0 of Coman, but as you see in the Champions League against PSG, he had some really good alternatives when Germany had a chance to score, and he didn't take the right decision. And that's the thing with Sané. He has such a big high when it comes to the potential, but his form isn't so stable. So that's the thing. And I think you're right. 5.5. You want someone that has the creativity, has the potential to score 1, 2, 3 goals. Yeah, why not Leroy Sané?
Okay. Any other questions, Rob, from a fantasy perspective, or Kevin? Is anything that you want to talk about from a fantasy point of view that we haven't touched on yet, or anything about the Germany side in general that you don't think we've discussed?
I just want to put out a warning sign, and that's the defense. I would really be careful to take defenders from Germany. I said Klosterman, I said Mats Hummels. I think Mats Hummels will play all the time, but I wouldn't take them at first choice. I would rather take midfielders or attackers from Germany.
Okay. Anything from you, Rob?
No, it's been really interesting to hear your insights. We know your background, and seen you on Twitter over the last few days. Really, there'll be something reporting back from the German side. So it's been really interesting to be able to have you on to chat, especially we're now on the 2nd of June, so we're only 9 days from the start of the tournament, 8 days from the start of the tournament. So yeah, really good to have you, and thanks for coming on. And hopefully we'll meet Germany at some point in the tournament, and we can get some for revenge for previous major tournaments.
I've got one quick thing that I want to just ask you, and this isn't about Germany or anything. This is about the Bundesliga, because I know that you follow the Bundesliga. Haaland, is he leaving, and who do you think he goes to?
I don't think he will leave this summer. I think he will stay. I'm sorry for the other teams, but I think he will stay because Dortmund secured a Champions League spot, and he's doing really well in Dortmund. He likes it there. He has said himself, and as report says, he also looks at a new house in Dortmund. So I think he will play one season in Dortmund, and then the next summer he will go. And then I don't know. I want to see him in the Premier League, if not in the Bundesliga, of course, because I think that would be a pleasure in a way. I think if I would be a big team and had the money, I would do everything that I can to buy Erling Haaland and Jadon Sancho, because those two, they love each other and they do so much together on the pitch that is so great. And they pass to each other, they score the goals with each other. So if you buy Sancho and Haaland, you have a great future ahead of you.
I think it's interesting how he might stay for another year, and Cavani's staying for another year at United. At the moment, it looks like there is a deal being spoken about with Sancho with Man United, which could be done before the tournament starts. So it'll be interesting, and if that's why he's staying in Dortmund for another year, just to wait until that striker spot's open at United.
And as you said, I think 99% that Jadon Sancho will leave this summer. I'm pretty sure of it. As you said, Sancho and United have an agreement. Now Dortmund has to find agreement with Manchester United. So I think that's the right way to go for Sancho at the moment, and also very good for Dortmund because they bought him just for 7 million euros, and will sell him for 90 if they are lucky now. And with Haaland, he's got a clause. I think it's about 80 million euros. But if he waits to the next summer, Dortmund can. The clause is next summer, so they have to buy him for 80 million euros next summer, and I think that's okay for Dortmund because they have then him one season once again, because this season he made 40 goals for them. I think he has made as many goals as he has played games for Dortmund. I think maybe one game more than a goal, but yeah, he's incredible, really incredible.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Lewandowski, then everyone would be talking. If like Lewandowski wasn't there, everyone would be talking about. Well, everyone is talking about Haaland, but because Lewandowski broke records and Haaland was just behind him, everyone talks about Lewandowski. It's just unlucky, I think, this season.
The great game against Bayern Munich and Dortmund was when Haaland did 2 goals and then Lewandowski did 3 goals. So just say,
it up.
Don't forget, I'm still here. That's kind of cool.
Right, Kevin, is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we go?
No, I think we covered everything. I'm really looking forward to this Euro. As always, the pulse is rising when I think about Germany, but I'm confident, and I hope I will be confident after the France game also. And it was a big pleasure to join this show, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Perfect. Thanks, Kevin. We really appreciate it from both of us, and I'm sure the listeners do as well. So thanks again for joining us. For the listeners, thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe and look out for our next installment. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Auf Wiedersehen.